Liver is a true superfood, not like the so-called vegetable superfoods that are promoted every year according to the trend of the moment, such as goji berries or spirulina or moringa or other exotic herbs that come from the other side of the world but do not come close in terms of nutrients to this less sexy food that is liver. Liver, as everybody knows, is particularly rich in vitamin A, but it is also very rich in almost all the B vitamins. It also contains good amounts of vitamin C, D, E, K2. It has lots of copper, potassium, iron, zinc, magnesium, calcium, etc. It really is a nutritional bomb. When it comes to vitamin A, liver is the best food you can eat to get this vitamin. And no, natural vitamin A is not toxic. We have never seen any natural vitamin A poisoning except maybe with polar bear liver, even though it has never been proven that the exfoliative dermatitis suffered by the explorers after consuming polar bear liver was really due to an excess of vitamin A. Yes, they had dermatitis. They did not die. A study was done on the toxicity of polar bear livers in 1942. They found that indeed polar bear livers are particularly rich in vitamin A, with around 20,000 IU per gram. They estimated that the toxic dose for humans was between 6 million and 7.5 million IU, or 375 grams of polar bear liver, or to compare with what is comparable to us. So we won't find polar bear liver anywhere in our butcher shop, but we might find duck liver, that is the richest liver in vitamin A that we can find around us. It has 12,000 IU for 100 grams. So you would have to eat about 50 kilo or 100 pounds of duck liver in one day to reach the toxic dose. So even if we agreed that it was the vitamin A in polar bear liver that made it toxic, and that's debatable given the quality of the study, unless you go hunting polar bears in the Arctic, there is zero chance that you get poisoned from natural vitamin A. On the other hand, synthetic vitamin A, as found in the vast majority of vitamin supplements or in drugs such as ACCUTANE, is toxic because it is synthetic and isolated, and the body is not always able to eliminate the excess of this synthetic vitamin. Please go watch my video on the subject and go read my article for more details. I will put the article in the description box under this video. Vitamin A is a fat-soluble vitamin that is essential for skin health and therefore for the health of your mucous membranes. It is necessary for your skin to be able to heal properly. It protects from sunburns. It plays a major role in the prevention of acne, dermatitis, and other skin issues. It is important for gut health, for lung health, for a good vision, for an efficient immune system, and for good development of the fetus. Vitamin A is essential for our immune system since our skin and mucous membranes are our first line of defense. Generally, people confuse beta-carotene and vitamin A, but the only true vitamin A is the animal form, that is retinol. Carotenoids are only provitamin A, meaning that the body must convert them into true vitamin A retinol. So, getting vitamin A from only plant sources demands a lot more work and resources from the body than getting it from animal foods. According to some studies, approximately 50% of ingested beta-carotene is eliminated in the stool and urine, and it is estimated that less than 10% of the beta-carotene in the diet is converted into retinol. Only the carotenoids alpha-carotene, beta-carotene, and cryptoxanthin are converted into vitamin A. Of these three carotenoids, the most efficiently converted into vitamin A is beta-carotene. Other carotenoids such as lycopene, that is found in tomatoes, lutein, that is found in egg yolks or in corn, and zeaxanthin, that is an isomer of lutein, are not converted into vitamin A, but this does not mean that they are not beneficial for our health. They are, especially for our eyes, since they protect them from UV and blue light damage. To absorb beta-carotene correctly, it must be consumed together with fat because it is fat soluble. But most importantly, you need a healthy gut because the enzyme that makes the conversion of beta-carotene into vitamin A is found mainly in the gut and also in the liver. Who in our modern world has a perfectly healthy gut or liver? If you live in a Western country, if you have eaten processed food regularly, if you have taken antibiotics and other chemical drugs at least once in your life, if you drink alcohol regularly, if you have had one or multiple chronic stresses in your life, chances are your gut and liver aren't functioning optimally, and therefore you can't properly convert beta-carotene into retinol. Additionally, genetic mutations, particularly in Caucasians, makes it more difficult for white people to effectively convert beta-carotene into retinol. Most white people are therefore dependent on animal sources for adequate vitamin A intake. In this slide, you can see how much vitamin A there is in liver, the highest being duck liver with 12,000 micrograms per 100 grams, the lowest being chicken liver with 3,980 micrograms for 100 grams, which nevertheless largely exceeds the recommended daily intakes, which are 750 micrograms for men and 650 for women. In comparison, you can see the amount of beta-carotene in carrots, which is 3,340 micrograms for 100 grams. But only 10% of that amount gets converted into retinol, less if you have the genetic mutation we talked about. I'm not saying that eating carrots is absolutely useless for vitamin A, but it is much less effective than liver. Liver is also very rich in almost all the B vitamins except vitamin B1, as you can see in this slide. Number one is nutritional yeast, then sunflower seeds, wheat germ, and pork. I put nutritional yeast in comparison in these slides because it is the only vegan food that competes with the liver in terms of B vitamins. However, aside from B vitamins, yeast is very low in all of the other vitamins, and keep in mind that we are talking here about 100 grams portions. It is very easy to eat 100 grams of liver every day, but nobody eats 100 grams of yeast every day. So you can't really compare yeast to meat. Also, I don't recommend eating yeast because the strain used for nutritional yeast, Saccharomyces cerevisiae, is found in large quantities in the gut of people with serious intestinal diseases such as Crohn's disease. I will make another video about this yeast, which has literally invaded our modern diet since the beginning of the 20th century and which can cause a lot of health issues. Here it's about vitamin B2. So here is a chart that shows that the number one source of vitamin B2 is veal liver with 4.31 milligrams of vitamin B2 for 100 grams. So number one source is veal liver, and then you have cheese, then you have nutritional yeast, then you have spirulina, then you have pork liver, etc. So here I've put pictures of the amount of B2 in nutritional yeast. Here on the left, you see it's 1 milligram here in this chart, 1 milligram for 100 grams. Of course, depending where you will look, you will have different amounts. Like here it's 1, on the chart on the right it's more than that, it's 4. And also depending on the source, you know, if you look at like official database in the US, it will be different from the French database, and the different database in the US or in French don't say the exact same numbers. So you will never really find the same numbers exactly, but it gives you an idea. So here I used like the official French database for nutritional data in France. Anyway, so here for nutritional yeast, it's like 1 milligram for 100 grams. And for here it's lamb liver, it's 4.31. Okay, so here you can see that there's actually more vitamin B2 in lamb liver compared to nutritional yeast. And again, can you really eat 100 grams of nutritional yeast every day or regularly enough, to get the right amount of vitamin B2? No, it's much easier to eat real food that is lamb liver or other types of liver. So for vitamin B2, we can say liver is number 1. Here for vitamin B3, so here I took that from the Wikipedia French, the French Wikipedia article about vitamin B3. It says that the majority of B3 you will find it in chicken meat, in nutritional yeast, in grains and cookies that are enriched with this vitamin. So anyway, that's stupid to have written that, because if they are not enriched artificially, they don't have that vitamin, so we can actually forget about that. In peanuts and in liver. Okay, so they say liver at last, but actually we will see it's one of the best sources. So here I put the official datas here. So number 1, it's a tie between nutritional yeast and lamb liver. Okay, they both have 18.5 milligrams for 100 grams of vitamin B3. Okay, so nutritional yeast and lamb liver is the same. Then after that, in quantity, it will be the chicken liver with 11 milligrams, and at last chicken meat 8.55. Okay, so here again we can say that lamb liver is number 1, because again it is just superior to nutritional yeast in so many ways. You have much more vitamins apart from the vitamin B3 or the vitamins B in general compared to nutritional yeast. And the liver is real food, not like nutritional yeast. Regarding B5, here we see that the number 1 source for B5 is dry mushrooms like shiitake, with 21.9 milligrams for 100 grams. After that, it's nutritional yeast with 13.5. And after that is lamb liver. But again, you won't easily be able to eat dry mushrooms every day or regularly enough to have this vitamin. Again, you have to compare what is comparable. So it's much easier to eat 100 grams of lamb liver compared to 100 grams of nutritional yeast or 100 grams of dried mushroom. All right, so here again for vitamin B5 we can say liver is number 1. Here regarding vitamin B8, in the US it's vitamin B7. I don't know why they changed the numbers depending on the country, but here we say B8. For you in the US it's B7. Number 1 source is liver. Here it's liver, then it's eggs, then it's nutritional yeast, then it's salmon, avocado, and so on. But again, here number 1 is liver for vitamin B8 or B7. For vitamin B9, so I'm sorry if it's a little blurry, but here I've put the different sources in order of importance. So number 1 is duck liver with 738 micrograms for 100 grams. So number 1, duck liver. Number 2, nutritional yeast. Number 3, veal liver. Number 4, chicken liver. Number 5, spinach. Number 6, wheat germ. Number 7, broccoli. And last, lettuce. Okay. So when we think about vitamin B9, we usually think about vegetable sources, about green vegetables. The other name of vitamin B9 is folate or folic acid. And the name folate comes from the leaf folate, it's like a Latin root of the word. It means leaf, okay? Because originally, green leafy vegetables were considered as the best source of vitamin B9. But as we can see here, obviously the number one source is duck liver, okay? And then it's mainly liver of other animals like veal liver, chicken liver. Here again, I don't really count nutritional yeast because it's not a real food, okay? But still, I mean, it's not like nutritional yeast does not have as much, as duck liver, and it has only a little bit more compared to the other types of liver. And then really, like the lowest sources in this slide are from vegetable origin, from plant origins, okay? So unlike most people think, you will find more vitamin B9, folic acid or folate in liver compared to vegetables. And here, vitamin B12, the number one source for vitamin B12 is lamb liver, here with 60 micrograms for 100 grams. Number two, duck liver, 54 micrograms. Number three, veal liver, 42 micrograms. Number four, it's pork liver with 18.7 micrograms. Then it's chicken liver with 16.9, and last is just like a simple beef steak, like a piece of muscle. It's 2.7 micrograms. So there's more vitamin B12 in liver compared to regular meat cuts. And of course here there's no vegetables because you don't have real absorbable vitamin B12 in any type of vegetable. Here, regarding vitamin D, so the number one source is cod liver, of course. This is raw cod liver. The number two best source is cooked cod liver. So of course when you cook it you have less, but actually it is because they removed the fat, in this cod liver. And actually vitamin D is fat soluble, so actually you will find less vitamin D in the meat, but all the vitamin D has gone into the fat. So anyway, if you eat the fat of your cooked cod liver, you will have lots of vitamin D. But anyway, it's still a very good source of vitamin D. So 100 micrograms in raw cod liver and 54 micrograms in cooked cod liver. Then number three, it's mushrooms, dried mushrooms with 3.9 micrograms, so much less. After that, you have veal liver with 2.52 micrograms, and last you have lamb liver with 0.51 micrograms. So we already knew it, and most people know it, that the best source for the vitamin D is cod liver. But as you can see, you also have quite a good amount. I mean, it's not much, but you have like a correct amount in other types of liver. Regarding vitamin K2, so there are different types of vitamin Ks. As you know, there's vitamin K1, vitamin K2. Vitamin K1, you will find it mostly in vegetables, okay? Vitamin K2, you will find it in fermented foods and in animal fats, okay? Because it's a fat-soluble vitamin. So, fermented foods, you can have vegetable fermented foods with K2, but it's a different type of K2. There are many different types of K2. As you can see here, there's MK4, MK5, MK6, MK7, MK8, MK9, and so on. There are different types of MKs. So basically, in fermented foods, you will have vitamin K2, mainly MK7 and MK9. But as I said, you also have MK5, MK6. So, but the only type of MK type vitamin K2 you can find in animal fat is MK4, and the MK4 vitamin K2 is the most absorbable form in our body. So it's much more important this MK4 vitamin K2 compared to the other types of MKs. Okay, so here if we look at this chart, the number one food for vitamin K2 is natto. So natto is fermented beans, but it is not MK4, the MK4 form. It's mainly MK7. Okay, I don't say it's not good, but it's just less efficient than MK4. So the most efficient source for vitamin K2 MK4 is goose liver pate with 369 micrograms for 100 grams. Okay, so this is really the number one source. Then you have like the fermented forms in cheese and other fermented foods, but again, it's not the MK4. The second richest food in MK4, vitamin K2, is chicken liver with 12.6 micrograms, and then you have calf's liver with 6 micrograms. Okay, you also have some in chicken leg and ground beef according to this chart. Okay, but the best source for vitamin K2 is really goose liver, and that's basically what you have when you have foie gras. Okay, so foie gras is this what you see on the picture. I don't know you in the US or in other countries, but in France, we make foie gras and we eat it usually for Christmas and New Year's, for special events. And it's delicious. And, now that you know it's like the best food you can have for vitamin K2, really go enjoy that foie gras because it is a true superfood. Now, regarding zinc, so here I've put several different charts. So the number one source for zinc will be regular steak, like muscle meat cut with 5.39 milligrams for 100 grams. Number two, it will be veal liver with 4.6. Number three, lamb liver 4.7. Number four, duck liver with 3.07. Number five, nutritional yeast with 8.4. So I've put actually the animal sources up there and the vegetable sources down there. So 8.4 for nutritional yeast. Sounds good, sounds like it's a lot. But again, it's not real food. You won't eat 100 grams, regularly. And also the type of zinc you have in vegetables is not as absorbable compared to the zinc in animal foods because you have all of the other anti-nutrients in these foods. So here in spirulina you have 2 milligrams, in wheat germ you have 1.65, and in lentils 1.25. So liver is also a very good source of iron. Here number one will be duck liver with 30.5 milligrams for 100 grams. Number two will be veal liver. Number three, lamb liver. Number four, regular beef steak. And then you have some in spirulina. Well, it's actually a lot when you look at the numbers, 28.5. But again, you won't eat 100 grams of spirulina. You will take a pill that is like 1 or 2 grams, and that's it. So, again, it's not a food, same as for nutritional yeast. And also, it's not the same type of iron. In animals, it's hem or hemi iron. And in vegetables, it's non-hemi iron. It's a different type of iron that is really not as absorbable in our body compared to the animal sources. So then you have in nutritional yeast, then you have some in wheat germs, then in spinach a little bit, and in lentils. So yeah, here it is again. For iron, your best sources will be liver. And as for potassium, so usually when we think about potassium, we think about vegetables. But so in some way it's true. You can see here this is kale, number one here, kale with 378 milligrams for 100 grams. Number two, you have beef steak with 371. It's actually not as far, as the as kale. Then you have veal liver, 341. Then you have bananas. It's famous that bananas have potassium. Then you have lamb liver, and then you have duck liver. So number one source here is kale. Yeah, but again, like, is it as easy to eat like 100 grams of kale compared to beef steak? Especially if you have a sensitive digestive system. Many people now have very sensitive digestive systems. They have injured guts, irritated guts, IBS, IBD, and so on. So for these people, they should avoid eating lots of raw vegetables. And in that case, for these people, I really suggest that they don't get their potassium from kale, raw kale, but from like a steak or veal, okay? Or if you really want it from vegetables, maybe you can juice, but avoid harsh fiber like it is in raw kale and other raw vegetables. But here again, for potassium, liver is a very good source. So here you go. I won't spend more time with more nutrients in liver because I don't want this video to last for hours and I don't want you to fall asleep in front of this video. So if you want more information, I suggest that you research yourself the different nutrients in liver. What I did in this video, I used a French database, a nutritional database, but of course you can use other ones. Like in the US, you have many like official different databases that you can use. But yeah, here it is. So also next week I will make a video about how I eat liver, because unfortunately I don't like the taste of liver as many people do, unfortunately, because we have not been used to eat liver since our childhood. So now the taste tastes weird for most of us. So in next week's video, I will show you how I eat liver, and I will show you my recipe on how to make chicken liver pate, and that is, I think, the most enjoyable way of eating liver. So I see you next week. Thank you. Bye bye.